What's up, guys? Welcome to your 15th tutorial. 15, wow. It's quite a bit, and our app still doesn't really do anything, but we'll get there. Don't worry. Trust me on that. But basically today we're going to set up the radio buttons for like the left, center, and right. So it'll move our text to the left, the center, or the right. Basically, first we want to start out with opening up the tutorial 1 XML, because I realized we didn't ID our radio groups. So we're just going to set up two IDs real quick. Or actually we'll just do the ID on the first radio group. And then your homework's going to set up the bold, italics, and center. But basically we're going to set up an ID reference, and we're going to call it RG gravity for the first one. And then just save it and exit out of the XML here and open up your tutorial 1 now. And we're basically going to do the same kind of stuff that we did in the last tutorial, except we're going to set up a radio group, and we're going to call this G unit, just because I like that name. G unit 50 cent. What? Alright, so now we need to import our radio group here, and then we also need to set it up. So if this is going to be familiar, we're just going to say G unit equals parentheses radio group, and then we got to find view by ID. Sorry, it's getting super late, so if I type something wrong, I apologize. And then we're going to set this up for our reference that we just labeled, ID dot, where's radio group gravity. Okay, and now what we want to do is we want to set up this G unit to do something, and usually we use it. Usually when we do a button, we say set on click listener, but since we have a radio group, we're going to say set on checked change listener. It's a tongue twister, but we're going to say basically anytime those radio buttons are changed within this radio group, we want to do this. Basically, this is going to be our just G unit group right there. But usually we set up a new method within here that we want to do when we set up our on click listener. But this time we're going to do it a little different way. We're just going to say this, which refers to our G unit. And we're getting an error right now because we're using this method from a different class. So we want to go down to implement on check change listener down here at the bottom. It says let tutorial 1 implement this, and it'll basically add it up here for you. And now we can use the method from within this class. But we're also getting another error because it's saying we aren't basically it's saying we aren't using the method from that implemented class. So we're going to say add unimplemented methods, and we should get all our errors to go away. Basically what that did is it set up this method down here underneath our onCreate method. And basically this is like our onClick method that we had set up within where we put the this. I'm confused where I'm at right now. But yeah, where we usually put this, usually we have our view on click listener, and then we set up this method. Basically that's what this is down here, our on check change. Every time it's going to do a check change, it's going to do whatever is in here. So now we need to set up what we want it to do. And we could say like if, you know, if radio button left is clicked, then we do this. Basically there's an easier way than writing out like 10 if statements or 3 if else statements. And to do that it's basically a switch and case. So we're going to do switch. Whatever we set up our switches, it's going to check for that. And then our cases are going to be if I'll explain it as we go here. But what we want it to check is our integer, which is this parameter, which is within our method right here. So we're going to say whatever we label this as, it automatically puts it in as checked ID. So we're going to say checked ID, and this is going to be a little confusing since we haven't really used this yet, but basically it's going to check the ID, which is our radio button ID, and what we want to do is say if it's case r.id dot radio on, I think it's RB left. Yeah, RB left. We want it to do, and you gotta put in those two dots on top of each other. Basically, it's gonna check our ID, and if our ID equals this, we're gonna have it do whatever is down here. So when it's clicked, we're gonna set the gravity to the left. And to do that, if you remember, we set our text view as text out. So we want to do text out, and we want to say set gravity. And what we want to set the gravity as? Well, we want to take it from the gravity class, and then we're going to hit dot and look for left over here. And then to end this case, say, okay, after we click the left button, do this, but we want to end it by just saying break. So then it's not going to look for anything else because it found the ID. And now we're just going to set up or copy and paste, and then we're just going to change these around to center, right, okay. And now we have all three of our buttons set up, and our program should work now. So I'm just going to save it and run it and make sure it works. Okay, and so now we can still type whatever we want and click the OK button. And now every time we hit one of these, at least these, this gravity group, we can say it will change it to the left, to the right, to the center, whenever we click on one of those buttons within that radio group. We probably have time to do also the bold, italics, and normal because those are kind of difficult. I was just going to leave that for homework. But basically, let's go back to the XML and set up a reference for our second radio group, which is down here. Android ID. It's a good review of this lesson right here. We're just going to call this radio group style. Hit save, exit that. Then we also want to set up a radio group variable, and we'll call this one style unit, S unit. Again, we have to set up S unit to do something. I'm just going to copy and paste this. And change this to style. Alright, sorry, I clipped the video because I forgot to relabel these, but just make sure you relabel those as S unit. And this we can keep the same because it'll still go, this is what's kind of neat, is whether this group is clicked or this group is clicked, it'll basically send the information down into this method. So we can just add to this method. So I'm just going to copy and paste another case because we want to say if it's case normal, if it's our normal button that's clicked, we want to, and this is the tricky part, I don't know why they don't have just set style and then like, you know, bold or whatever, but we're going to have to go to something called set typeface. And we want to say typeface dot default from style, and then we gotta say, I think we gotta also do, yeah, we gotta do typeface dot, and then we'll just say, I think, yeah, normal right here. So it was a little bit longer than our previous one, but basically pretty much the same stuff, just a little bit different format. So I'm going to copy and paste that twice and hit bold and italics and just change these so we can move on to something cool next tutorial here. Okay, and then we just need to put in comma typeface dot italic, and then the same for these up here. Like I said, this one's a little bit more confusing than just doing set gravity and gravity, but you know, it's going to be worth it because our app's going to be making us millions of dollars because it's so awesome. Alright, and that should basically work. Again, thanks for watching this tutorial, and hopefully we can move on to some sweet stuff. I know you guys all have some recommendations. Probably the next one I'm going to use like the Android menu button. But again, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.